and has specific ideas as to what should happen.
You would think.
Just
and,
saying.
You know, and I don't know if this is true or not. It's hard to figure out what is fact and what was the rumor, but he had apparently spoke some years back about the fact that he didn't think he would live a full life. That's not unlike artists, by the way.
No,
That's not unlike artists to think that they're not going to make it, fully.
No, they sing about it. But remember, at one point, he was. There were stories about his body being in a chamber to actually prolong,
hyperbolic chamber
to extend his life. So.
Well, he had a lot of interesting things going on. I mean, with the hyperbolic chamber you spoke of, Bubbles, the chimp that lived with him.
I met Bubbles.
He bought the bones to the Elephant Man. I mean, he was.
He had a full-on zoo at Neverland Ranch. Every animal imaginable. Of course, the llamas and the giraffes. He had a number of things that you would say were eccentric. In terms of what just to have in the backyard. But then again, Michael Jackson never did anything small, did he?
No.
He always did things in a huge way.
And we're watching this all the way to the very end in a huge way as they load his body into that coroner's van. When you talk about being eccentric, there were some qualities that were very similar to another eccentric, very, very well-to-do man, Howard Hughes, that they think that Michael Jackson had too in terms of germ phobias and things like that. Thus the gloves and the mask that he would very often wear. And
a lot of comparisons, but the most famous glove of all will be that sequined glove that Michael Jackson wore, I believe, on his right hand. I mean, there have been so many replicas, and they already have some of his items on display. Remember, he just called off an auction. He's going to have an auction off some memorabilia in terms of raising money. So they already have some items on display, but I'm sure the Smithsonian or these artifacts will forever now be treasured, that's for sure.
It's interesting that you say that because he did find himself in some financial difficulties after, the case, the molestation case, which he was acquitted of. I think didn't Neverland go into foreclosure at that time? Somebody was supposedly going to come in and rescue it, and I don't think that ever happened. But he was thought at one point to be worth about $1 billion. And that would include not only just his own work, but he even purchased the library to the Beatles music at one point.
That was the most prolific in terms of the recording industry. That was a major deal.
In fact, I think
couldn't understand how that happened. But
it drove a wedge between, I think, he and McCartney for a little while because they did some music together, and I think McCartney was the guy that actually suggested to him, hey, if you get your hands on a good music library, you can make a lot of money.
Yeah, well, that was an unprecedented purchase. So, as he did some things that people question. On the other hand, and we talk about him being like a teenager in a lot of ways, he was a very shrewd businessman. In terms of, especially to make a deal in that fashion.
Oh, absolutely. But he also was a man of extravagance, and therein lies some of his financial problems. That happens a lot with people that make lots of money, whether they be entertainers or whether they be athletes. We hear it quite a bit. We see the body in the van headed to the coroner's office, we believe, for autopsy.
Yes, we know that an autopsy will be conducted, and I would imagine that they would start working on that right away.